Nanda's wavering mind, learning to release the life he left behind. The Buddha was staying at Jeta Grove in Savatthi. Among the monks there was Nanda, whom the Udana describes as the Buddha's brother and the son of his maternal aunt. Nanda had already left household life and put on the robes. From the outside, his decision seemed complete. But his mind had not fully followed his body into the new life. One day Nanda spoke openly to several monks. "I don't enjoy leading the holy life." He said that he could not continue the training and wanted to return to ordinary life. A monk reported this to the Buddha, and the Buddha called Nanda to him. When asked whether the report was true, Nanda admitted that it was. The Buddha asked why he was unable to remain content in the holy life. Nanda explained what had stayed in his mind since the day he left home. As he was departing, a Sakyan woman had looked toward him while her hair was still half-combed. She had said, "Hurry back, master." The moment was already over, but Nanda kept returning to it. His body was at Jeta Grove, while his imagination remained with the life he had left behind. The early discourse keeps its attention on Nanda's mind. One remembered face and one remembered sentence had become powerful enough to make him question his entire direction. Changing our surroundings does not immediately change the habits of the mind. The discourse then presents a striking supernatural scene. The Buddha took Nanda by the arm, and they appeared in the heaven of the 33. There Nanda saw heavenly nymphs attending Sakya. The Buddha asked him to compare their beauty with that of the woman he had been remembering. Nanda answered with a harsh comparison preserved in the ancient text. What matters here is how quickly his judgment changed. A moment earlier, the Sakyan woman had seemed so desirable that he wanted to abandon the training. Now, faced with something he considered more attractive, his desire moved immediately. The object changed. The wanting did not. Desire often speaks as though the present object were unique. Yet when something more attractive appears, the same wanting can immediately choose a new object. The Buddha then told Nanda, "Take joy, Nanda." He promised to guarantee that Nanda would obtain those heavenly nymphs if he continued the holy life. Nanda agreed to remain a monk. But this was not yet freedom. His reason for staying had simply changed. First, desire pulled him backward toward the life he had left. Now another desire pulled him forward toward a future reward. The direction changed, but the bargain remained. When they returned to Jeta Grove, the other monks learned why Nanda was continuing his training. They referred to him as though he were a hired worker, practicing in exchange for payment. The Udana says that Nanda became humiliated and ashamed. The important point is what he did once his motive became impossible to ignore. He did not leave in anger or defend the bargain. He withdrew into seclusion and practiced seriously. The discourse says he lived alone, heedful, ardent, and resolute. Before long, he realized for himself the goal of the holy life and became an arahant. Nanda's story does not begin with perfect motivation. He wanted to quit. Then he practiced for a reward. Only later did the reason for practicing change. Motives can mature. An imperfect motive does not have to become the final motive, but it has to be seen clearly enough to change. After Nanda attained liberation, a deity informed the Buddha of his attainment. The Buddha already knew that Nanda's mind had been released. The following morning Nanda went to him and referred to the earlier promise. "I hereby release the Blessed One from that promise." The reward that once seemed necessary no longer had power over him. He had not simply exchanged one desired object for another. The transaction itself was finished. The Udana ends with a verse describing one who has crossed the mire of sensuality and is no longer shaken by pleasure and pain in the old way. This helps us understand what letting go means in this story. It does not have to mean deleting a memory. A memory can remain without being given authority. A desire can arise without becoming an instruction. Freedom is not always the disappearance of mental events. It is the end of being ruled by them. Another early discourse, in 8.9, gives a practical picture of the training associated with Nanda. The Buddha says that Nanda had strong sensual passion, yet he was able to live the holy life completely. Because he guarded the senses, knew moderation in eating, was devoted to wakefulness, and possessed mindfulness and clear awareness. His change was therefore not simply one emotional breakthrough. It had a daily structure. First, Nanda guarded the doors of the senses. The discourse describes him looking in every direction with careful awareness so that greed, distress, and unskillful qualities would not take over. This does not mean refusing to see the world. It means not turning every sight into fuel. Nanda had once taken a remembered appearance and replayed it until it threatened to decide his future. Something can be seen and pleasure can arise without the mind adding comparison, fantasy, possession, and story. Seeing does not require chasing. Second, Nanda practiced moderation in eating. He ate to sustain the body and support the holy life, not for amusement, intoxication, display, or beautification. Not every pleasant experience needs to be increased simply because more feels better. Moderation asks what is enough. Third, Nanda was devoted to wakefulness. During the day and parts of the night, he practiced while sitting and walking. When it was time to sleep, he lay down mindfully with the intention to rise again. He did not wait for inspiration. When the mind wandered, the discipline of the day gave it somewhere to return. Fourth, Nanda practiced mindfulness and clear awareness. He knew feelings as they arose, remained for a time, and passed away. He observed perceptions and thoughts in the same way. This gives us a bridge between the Nanda who wanted to return home and the Nanda who became free. At first, one thought appeared. I miss the life I left. The mind quickly added, therefore I should return. Training created space between the feeling and the decision. A feeling can arise without proving what must be done. A thought can return many times without becoming an order. Mental events move. They are experiences, not commands carved into stone. This changes how we understand longing. Missing something does not automatically mean the decision to leave was wrong. Remembering an old happiness does not prove that returning would recreate the past exactly as memory presents it. Memory is selective. When the present is difficult, the past can become polished. We may forget what was difficult and replay only the scene that hurts to lose. Nanda's remembered moment was vivid. But the heavenly comparison showed how unstable his certainty was. When a stronger attraction appeared, his emotional scale changed immediately. The story is not asking which woman was more beautiful. It is showing how comparison keeps desire moving. If peace depends on having the most attractive option, peace remains fragile. There can always be another person, place, promise, or imagined future. The deeper question becomes, why must my direction change every time desire changes its object? This does not mean that returning to an old life is always wrong. Nanda's problem was that his judgment was being governed by craving and comparison. So when an old life suddenly looks beautiful again, we can ask more than, do I still want it? We can ask, what is this wanting doing to my judgment? Am I seeing the whole past, or only its most attractive scene? Am I reconsidering because my values have changed, or because the present feels difficult? Would I make the same decision after this feeling settles? Nanda also shows that embarrassment does not have to become a permanent identity. When the other monks exposed his bargain, he felt ashamed. But he did not conclude that he was hopeless. He changed the way he practiced. Healthy moral discomfort says, this motive is not good enough. Destructive self-condemnation says, I can never become better. Nanda chose training rather than collapse. Eventually, he no longer needed the reward that had once kept him going. That is the clearest sign that his motivation had changed. At the beginning, he wanted to leave unless he could recover the pleasure he missed. In the middle, he agreed to stay because a greater pleasure was promised. At the end, neither condition was necessary. Past pleasure did not have to be recovered. Future pleasure did not have to be guaranteed. The path was no longer a transaction. Our own commitments can also become bargains. We may continue only while recognition, comfort, or the future we imagined seems guaranteed. Nanda's story asks what remains when that bargain is removed. This steadiness is not numbness. Nanda did not become free by becoming unable to see beauty or remember the past. He became free because beauty, memory, and promised pleasure could no longer purchase his direction. If one attraction disappears while the same structure of craving remains, another object can replace it. The object is replaceable. The pattern is what needs to be understood. A longing mind says, go back. A reward-seeking mind says, keep going because something better is waiting. A trained mind can finally ask, what is worth doing even when neither voice is in charge? That is where Nanda's path arrived. He began as a monk who wanted to abandon the training. He became known in another early discourse for careful sense restraint, moderation, wakefulness, and clear awareness. His weakness did not become his permanent identity. It became the place where his training had to become especially precise. A wavering beginning does not decide the ending. Today, if a life you left behind suddenly appears more beautiful in memory, you do not have to fight the memory or obey it immediately. Let it be seen. Notice the feeling that has arisen and give it enough space to change. And when a new promise seems powerful enough to make every old desire disappear, notice that as well. A stronger desire is not the same as freedom from desire. May you learn to distinguish remembering from returning, wanting from choosing, and a reward that pulls you forward from a direction you can stand behind for its own sake. And when old memories or new attractions arise, may they come and go without taking over the work of deciding where your life should go next.